Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Sean Henry, Vice President, Cisco Security Business Group.
Good morning. My name is Sean Henry. I come from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm very glad to be here in Melbourne, interacting with our customers in the Security Business Group, with our customers in networking, with our Cisco customers. I am responsible for building security products in Cisco's Security Business Group. And what I'm going to do for the next 24 minutes or so is talk to you about how we think in engineering in order to build solutions for our customers that do a better job of protecting your environments. So that's what this is about. So let me start off by setting the stage a little bit. The traditional network has changed dramatically over the years. The old school way of thinking was that you have a perimeter, you protect your company, inside the perimeter is safe, outside's unsafe, and you put a firewall in place to figure out what things you block. That perimeter has eroded dramatically over the years. And the reasons are things like applications deployed in the public cloud, the move to the hybrid cloud, users bringing their own devices and installing their own applications running directly on the network, the move from branch offices that are backhauled to corporate over MPLS to branch access straight on the internet. So you hear a lot this week from Scott Harrell about SD-WAN. And I maintain there is no SD-WAN without security. If you're going to go straight onto the internet, you need a better security story. These are the things that are changing, and these are the things that cause us to build solutions that have more enforcement points and provide better visibility, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So, of course, this changes the risk profile. Everything is bigger at scale. There's just way more data flowing around in today's world than there has been. I mentioned the users can install their own applications on their own, and of course, we have gaps in visibility coverage because there are places that you can no longer see what's going on. So these are the things that we talk about in engineering. This is how we address those situations in engineering and security at Cisco. Number one, we must build an open, integrated architecture. And the reason for that is because we recognize that there are all of these different enforcement points, all of these different ingress and egress transports and applications and protocols. And we're not going to cover all of them on our own. So you need to be able to provide a way to bring it all together. Marty Resch has presented at many of these things, and he has this great slide that shows the complexity curve in security. The reason that it is becoming harder and harder to protect against the bad guys is because there are so many point solutions. And the way to get out ahead of that, to reduce the complexity of managing all of these things, is to provide a way that they can be integrated and orchestrated across the top. So I'll go deeper on that, but that's the foundation of the way that we think in engineering, open and integrated, so we can expand. The second point is the ability to orchestrate and protect everywhere. So we actually think differently about the enforcement points and the way that you orchestrate across that. I'll explain more about that in the near future. But we need to be able to provide enforcement points for everywhere where the network is segmented, where we go from data center to hybrid cloud, where we go to public cloud, and where we're running applications as software as a service and things like that. Not just thinking of the network point of view, we also have endpoints, servers running in the data center. All of these are legitimate enforcement points that we have to cover, and then we have to be able to orchestrate across it to provide consistent policy. On the top, we pride ourselves in being leaders in threat detection. My older daughter, Ella, she teases me periodically that she believes I work at the CIA or some secret government agency. And, I travel a lot for work, so I'm not around more than I'd like to be. And actually don't talk about work much at home. And there's two reasons for that. One of them is, if you have people over, you really don't want to be talking about security engineering. My wife is a veterinarian. She has way more interesting stories that she can share with people that we invite over. But the few times I do talk about work, I talk about something that Talos did, because that's actually interesting. So a few years ago, actually less than that, but recently, Talos acquired the keys from one of the ransomware attacks and made them publicly available. Now, that's a pretty cool story. And so those are the type of things I talk about. That leads my daughter to believe that I'm in some, secret government agency. The point here, though, is we have a research organization, research and intelligence organization, 350 people strong, Talos. We don't sell a product called Talos. We don't charge for Talos. Their job is to figure out what is going on in the threat landscape. Just that. And the partnership with Talos that I have as the one building the products is absolutely critical, because I can inject that intelligence directly into the products and therefore do a way better job of protecting our customers against those attacks. That is a critical part of our integrated architecture. And the last one is leverage the network. We are a large security company at Cisco within an even larger networking company. And so, I mentioned the orchestrate and all the protection points. We have all this network gear. They are enforcement points, and it's a place for us to get visibility. So it behooves us to build technology in the security business group that can integrate with the networking technology so we can see across this giant landscape. These are the things that I talk about with my team on architecture. These are the types of solutions we're working on. So let's go deeper. I'll show you a picture of what the security architecture looks like. And it starts with the enforcement points. So we have products that provide enforcement points in the network gear, firewalls. We have our traditional layer 3 firewall in the Adaptive Security Appliance, or ASA. We have our next-gen firewall with Firepower Threat Defense, or FTD. We have AMP technology that runs on the endpoints. We have technology that runs in the cloud. So the importance of running the same type of enforcement in the cloud is there are use cases, significant use cases, especially with the addition of SD-WAN, where your users are going directly out over the internet and they are accessing a software as a service application that's provided by some other vendor like Salesforce.com or Office 365. And you can't even, there's no good way to put a protection device or an enabling device or a firewall in between those points, but you can send the traffic through the cloud and leverage the same security intelligence to protect those applications and those users. And then last but not least, we have applications running in the data center, and that is an important place to create an enforcement point as well. So we want to enforce everywhere. We have presence in most of these places with our products. We have those capabilities. At the bottom, we have our intelligence sources. So I talked a little bit about Talos. I have a little more on that later, but there's a couple other important things here too. We have industry-specific intelligence that can be available over feeds like Stix and Taxi. Those are just standards for industry feeds. And the different industries have their own threat vectors and their own specifics, and there are consortiums that are created to generate intelligence, and our products allow those to be inserted directly by you guys as customers. So we can combine the stuff that we create from Talos with other things specific to your industry. The other portion of this is we have to learn more as we go. It's not just everything that's already known. There are zero-day attacks. And so we have machine learning in the form of cognitive analytics, and we have sandboxing technology in the form of threat grid. So when things are made visible, you can say, yeah, I know that's bad, block it. No, that's good, let it go. I don't know about that one. Let's put it into the sandbox, do some machine learning on it, and figure out what it's all about. That's what this part's about. And then, at the top, we have the orchestration layer. So we think about content, enforcement points, and the way to bring it all together. And it's really important that our enforcement layer speaks in a common API so that the management layer can present itself and allow functionality for the different use cases, market segments. So we offer different capabilities and different tools tuned to meet those specific security needs, but leveraging the same enforcement points in the middle. And then the last part is, since this is built on an open integrated architecture, technology partners, other third parties that are building security products can communicate directly at the appropriate layer. They can bring in the intelligence feeds. They can communicate to the enforcement points to generate compliance reports or things like that. And they can integrate directly to the management plane to provide broader solutions. Either building out something as a partner that provides more capabilities, or frankly, even including competitors' products for a multi-vendor environment. So this is how we think about our integrated security architecture. Now, I'm going to go a little deeper on the orchestrate and protect everywhere and use our next-gen firewall as an example. So this is a picture of the FTD. The FTD is a device that runs our ASA code and our firepower code together. It combines the layer 3 firewall technology that we've been delivering for many years at Cisco with the threat intelligence that we built through SourceFire. It allows you to do inspection and protection at the application layer, URLs, identities, integrate to your own identity system, as well as all the capabilities of VPN that we had in the ASA. And it's fundamentally an enforcement point. People run it at their network perimeter, people run it in their data center, people run it at a branch. But those use cases are dramatically different when you're installing 1,000 branches versus big honking gear in the data center. And so we have different management capabilities for those respective use cases and everything in between, frankly. So we built an API, and you can see the API over in DevNet or out here in the world of solutions. We have things like Ansible to create and stamp out configurations for firewalls for new deployments. And our management plane leverages that API. In fact, there's 3 major things we get out of that API. Number 1, it helps me, because as I build products, I don't want to have to change the device every time I want to add something new to the management plane. Every time I come across a new use case for the management plane, I can build an on-prem manager, an on-device manager, and a cloud manager leveraging all the same API. Those can be done in parallel to meet the needs of those respective businesses and use cases. So it benefits me. Number two, it benefits our partners. I have a big example of a service provider in the United States called Rackspace, and they manage things at fleet scale, they like to say. They have 24,000 of our firewalls. Their business is hosting on behalf of their customers, whether it's colo or in the cloud. When they spin up a new customer, they want to push a button and be 100% sure that that environment for that customer is configured the same way because that's safe and reliable and it's going to run. So they spin up the VMs, they spin up the networking gear, they spin up the firewalls, and all of that gets done through an API. Because when you do it programmatically, it's safe and it's going to work. And then they do change control with the customer when the customer deploys a new application into their hosted environment. And when you do that, you're going to have to change some rules. Or there's a new security threat, you're going to have to block some things. They do that through the API as well because it's programmatic and they can integrate it into the workflow where the customer signs off asking for the change, they make the change, they validate that it worked, and then the customer validates that it worked. So it's a multi-step process that you can't really do in a graphical user interface when you have customer input, Rackspace input, together both operating the same control point, which is the FTD. So that's number 2. It allows It allows customers or partners to build things that are integrated into their workflow. And the last one is it allows, frankly, anyone to build something that ahead of how fast I can get my team to do it. If there's an API, it's programmatic, you can do different things. These are the benefits of us logically separating the device from the management plane. Now, we have a long-standing firepower management center, on-prem management plane for our firewalls, and we are launching Cisco Defense Orchestrator, which is our cloud management. Like I mentioned, 2 different management planes. Why would you pick one over the other? Well, they're actually designed for dramatically different use cases. Cisco Defense Orchestrator is designed for broad deployments, relatively simple deployments, branch, retail, things like that, where you want the same thing in many different places. And oftentimes, there isn't even infrastructure or IT people in that place. So cloud management is very important. The FMC, our on-prem manager, much more useful in large enterprise, big scale. There's deep security operations, analytics, eventing capabilities, and it's been tried and true technology for years. Different use cases, controlling the same set of devices, small devices, large devices, physical devices, virtual devices, but that logical separation gives us a dramatic capability to support different use cases. So that's part of the firewall story. Let's expand it a little bit, because not everything can be protected by a next-gen firewall. I mentioned that we have cloud products in our secure internet gateway. That's a type of product. The product that we sell is called Umbrella. Umbrella came through the OpenDNS acquisition a few years back. At the time, it protected at the DNS level. So same type of logic that we build into our policy in the firewall. When any DNS lookup is done, I know that's good, I know it's bad, I'm not sure, let me go do some inspection, right? Since almost everything nowadays is based on DNS, it's actually very easy to do that. This is a very low impact deployment, very easy to get out there. And it provides very good security. Now you can go around DNS and talk straight IP numbers. All the bad guys have figured that out as well, and they're leveraging DNS because they have to be mobile as well. So they lose if they use straight IP numbers. So it's pretty effective. Since we have bought OpenDNS, in the Umbrella product, we have allowed the capability of sending all web traffic through that cloud as well. Remember, the important point here is you may have to put this enforcement point in a place that you can't really access. So just send the traffic through, and it does the same type of enforcement. And today, to Umbrella, we are adding all ports and all protocols. And when we do that, we're basing it on the same enforcement technology. So we have the agreement with that team to leverage the same Snort technology, our open source available inspection engine that's in our firewall, in the cloud as well, and leverages the intelligence of Talos to do the same type of enforcement. And because of that, we are going to have the capability of leveraging the same type of policy and threat response across the top. And our strategy is to do that same thing with the network gear as well, with Meraki and ISR. That gives us, again, the capability of consistent enforcement and the consistent orchestration of policy across the top. This is a bigger picture of Umbrella, which I already covered, so I'm going to move past this one and go to another example, which is Cisco Threat Response. Now, this one comes in 2 categories. Remember, I mentioned there's 3 major benefits of doing everything on an open API capable of being integrated. One of them is me. Let me start with me. Because we have enabled all of our enforcement points to talk using APIs, we can bring products like Cisco Threat Response to market faster. We didn't start this more than a year ago. And what it does is it's an incident response tool. It goes and talks to all of the enforcement points that it can. It allows the user to search on an indicator or a compromise or a file or an IP address or something like that, and run the basic query, although it gets complicated, the basic query of what are the recent things around this data that have happened in my network? Go get me all the recent activity related to this file, this IP number, this indication of compromise. And display that in this pleasing graphical user interface and allow you to remediate. Send it off. That may be bad, I'm not sure. Let's send it off to the sandbox. That's bad, let's change policy so that it is blocked. Or no, false alarm. Those basic use cases. And we were able to put this together very quickly because our products can integrate together. Marissa Chancellor in our information security group has a great quote: if you can't see it, you can't protect it. There's protection side of this, and there's the visibility side of this. This product really plays well in the visibility side, but because of the integration, allows you to protect as well. So, a little more on Cisco Threat Response. Number one, it is capable of being integrated with a casebook type technology. So you can hook it up to your case management system. Number two, it also sources the same intelligence context that we do with all of our other products, of course. Talos, research and intelligence. Number three, today it talks to AMP for endpoints, Umbrella, and our email products. Today we are working on the firewall integration right now. That's Cisco Threat Response. Now I mentioned that it has two benefits. Number one, my benefit is that I could bring it to market really quick. But the other one is there's clearly a customer benefit here as well, because this is something that you might want to integrate other things into to provide visibility. And so because we've built it on open APIs, you can bring in content from other sources. Okay, one quick slide on Talos. Actually, there's not a lot to say here other than my partnership with Talos is critical to making the security products stronger, and the Talos intelligence gets injected into all of them. It does this via standard feeds. It does this automatically, but all of the enforcement products that we build in the security business group at Cisco have the capability of injecting Talos intelligence so they can do a better job of keeping the bad guys out of that expanded perimeter. Now let me talk a little bit about leveraging the network. So I mentioned that we are working to include our intelligent threat detection engine, Snort, in networking gear. That is the vision that we are moving towards. I also mentioned that we are working towards consistent policy application across all of the products. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a direct integration that we've done with the networking group and the security business group called Encrypted Traffic Analytics, or ETA. So in our research organization, actually, let me take a step back. First of all, the world is moving more and more towards encrypted traffic. And there are ways that companies can break the encryption scheme if they know the keys, or they stage a man in the middle, a positive man in the middle, and allow the users to allow them to break the encryption stream. But if we do our job correctly in security, it's going to get harder and harder to do that, because that's what our job is. And so how do you figure out if there's something malicious in the encrypted stream? Our research organization came up with this way of detecting malicious signatures from our known content, from the intelligence sources that we have in Talos as an example, and can tell whether or not it's in the encryption stream without actually doing decryption. This is fascinating. We like to call it on the side X-ray vision. So we can look at an encrypted traffic stream and we can say that's got malicious content. And we offer that up through the recent networking gear, ISRs, ASRs, and catalysts, leveraging Cisco DNA Center, the orchestration technology for the networking side, and made available through Cisco StealthWatch, which is a security product that is fundamentally our analytics platform. And that was done, again, because one, we can leverage all of the visibility and the eventing that we can see in all the Cisco security products, and two, because we're capable of bringing them together from an integration point of view. So now we have the capability of blocking threats in encrypted traffic without decrypting that traffic and looking at everything. This is truly amazing. So this slide highlights the fact that we are a global networking company, and we have a wealth of information from Talos, and the intersection of those two things are the ability to protect everywhere and the ability to orchestrate with uniform policy across the top. That is our vision as we work forward in building stronger and stronger protection against the bad guys in the expanded perimeter world. That's fundamentally what we are focused on. The last thing I wanted to leave you with is another example that I've been working on with a customer that highlights the strengths of our integrated architecture. I've been working directly with CISO in a bank in the United States, and they have purchased an enterprise agreement. They have most of our security products. And he recently reached back out to me and said, the Cisco threat response technology has significantly improved our response time when there is an incident. And of course, that leverages the fact that he has all of our products together and is able to see much faster what is really going on. The second thing that he has pushed hard with his security operations team is our Threat Intelligence Director, or TID technology. This is available with the FMC, and this is where he can take the industry-specific threats that the consortium that he's involved with in the banking world comes up with and combine them with the Talos intelligence to provide that to his layer of enforcement as well. And the third thing that he complimented us on at Cisco is not only do we provide all these products that are capable of doing these things, but we have the customer experience group with TAC and customer support and professional services that are trained on all of this stuff to help him deploy it in his complicated environment. So that's how our customers are leveraging the capability of doing integration and bringing all of this together to better protect their environments from the bad guys. And that's what I had to tell you about today. Thank you very much.